Hello and welcome to DIY TV, and this is my first video on this channel. For those of you who haven't seen me before on YouTube, I do have another channel going for my day job as an electrician, but in this one we're going to focus in on the aspects of DIY and the things that I tackle outside of my day job as a hobby in home renovation, and also some of the things I've picked up through working around construction for over 25 years now. And in this video we've got a great example because this is my front room. We've totally stripped it back, all the carpets are gone. I'll take you around for a look at what we're doing in a minute. The series is going to move forward where we're laying laminate flooring, we're going to be painting and decorating the room. We have got some new electrical sockets going in and we'll cover parts of that but not all of it, and I'll explain why when we get to that stage. We've got a TV to hang on the wall, some moving around of both coax, TV cabling, and also some HDMIs and such as well. So there's lots going on through this little series, and in this very first episode we're going to focus on one of the basic things DIYers often have to tackle, and that's filling holes, making good, and doing some of the more menial tasks around more skilled trades to help them out in the progress of your home projects. So we're going to chop in an electrical back box, we're going to fill up the chases. There's some holes around this room from where blinds used to be, and electrical bits and pieces we're now removing. So I'll show you all of that and then we'll start with the first step. So you can see over here is where the TV used to live, on this central wall here. We're actually lifting that a little bit higher. This electrical socket that was on the wall is going away, and there was also a media unit at the bottom here which has been replaced with a fire, so lots of this is going to be removed as well. You can see we've got some old smart switches. We're going to remove all of these. We don't really use them, so we're going back to normal electrical sockets. And there's a few to remove over there and some tidying up as well. We're also going to be adding in another electrical socket over here. And you can see I've already got the laser level marked up to keep our heights consistent. And an electrical socket over here. And I've got the bonding and plaster to go over those chases if we need to make any through the course of this video and tidy up. There is also bits of filling that have gone on obviously around this room. This is going to need a good bit of tidying up. And where we used to have blinds on the underside of this window also needs a bit of attention just to steady them up so they're nice and solid for any future mounting of blinds to come down the line. You can see all the skirting boards off. We've taken that away, ready to get started. So we're going to be laying the laminate without any skirting to try and avoid using that edging strip that, to be honest, nobody really likes, but sometimes you've got no choice if you can't take the skirting off the wall. But as we were going back to basics, we're able to do that, and we'll cover that in a little video later on when we cover laying the laminate. But in this one I'm going to pop you on the little stand here now. We'll set to marking this out. I'll talk you through how I approach it, and then we'll get on with making a few holes in the wall. So first things first with this is to decide where you want to put the socket. Sometimes that's set by the actual position that you need it, but in this case we've got a little bit of flexibility. It just needs to go somewhere in this area. Now there'll be dabs behind this plasterboard. It's a dot and dab wall. So if you're lucky and you tap around the wall, you can find somewhere that maybe isn't any dabs. And it sounds like that's a pretty good place to me. You might be able to get the cable straight up there without needing to break open the entire wall. And then we're just dealing with trying to get the socket box in nice and neat to avoid any filling later on, which is always a bonus. So I'm going to cut out the back box now, and then we'll see what we're faced with looking down the wall. So we've got a laser line running off a socket at the other side of the room over there, as I showed you on the other socket we're cutting in. So it's the same principle, but we're going to use a laser level and a spirit level just in case we've got any variation in the laser line through the room. But I want that to touch the bottom of this box, as it is doing there. You can see we're ever so slightly off square inside the box. So we're just going to make a small adjustment, and that should do us there. And then just need to mark around it. Give us a nice clear line to follow when we come to cut this out. As you can see. Now the neatest way to cut these out is to use an oscillating saw. So this is something that a professional would definitely have, but as a DIY you might not. You can use a jab saw. So if you've got a jab saw that you can get from a typical DIY shop, you can use one of those. It's just a bit difficult because there's not a lot of depth behind here to really get it going. You can use a Stanley knife if you're careful and score all the way around a few times, but by far the easiest and neatest way is this, as I'll show you while we cut this one out now. And that's a nice neat opening. Now I can see that there is a good gap behind there, so we can move on with the rest of the installation of this back box in readiness for the electrician to come and wire this up. Might need to go a little bit deeper in the wall. We are just going to use a 25mm box here. I know people like to put 35mm everywhere you go, but sometimes when you're trying to cause as little destruction as possible, it's just simpler, and most USB sockets will fit in a 25mm box if you know what you're doing anyway. There's nothing wrong with using them, so that's what I'm going to do in this application. So you can actually see by pure chance that the wall depth and the plasterboard is enough for this 25mm box, so we don't actually need to chop anything further out at the back. And we can move along with trying to get a bit of oval tube if we can, just behind here, so we know that the cable's got a path up behind the plasterboard. You know, if anyone comes along in the future and wants to draw another cable up or down, it's a bit easier for them. No real need to do that. That's what I'm going to do. So we just need to mark the knockout we want to use. I think this one's probably the best one, so that's where we want our oval tube to come. And we can slip our socket on the top and see if we can draw a wire up that as well. Okay, so when you're up to this stage, you then need to start getting the holes for your box on the wall so you can fix it back. Just pop the oval tube for the time being a bit lower down. Eventually we are going to bring that through the opening in the bottom of the box. For the minute, just push it out of the way, it's a little bit easier to work around then. And then we're making our box level, so we're going to need our spirit level just to pop on there and see how we're looking. That's lovely and level actually looking at that. So we've got no issue there. And now we just need to mark where we're going to get our fixing points in the back of this box. And again, I'm going to use a bit of the marksman for that. So we've got a good opening here, give it a nice spray. One in the middle as well, and then looking behind this one, that's where a mortar joint was and it's just broken apart a little bit. So we're not going to use that one, we're just going to use these two. And then we've got a couple of fixings on this box and it's not going to go anywhere. So we've got that on the wall now with the washers in the back just to hold it nice and strong. It's a really good fixing, that is going absolutely nowhere. Just need to pop that oval tube through this box now so we know we've got a bit of a grommet protection around where this cable enters, and that's about as far as we can take this at the first fix stage. We're going to go around and do the plastering up now of all of the holes we've made in the room, start making stuff good, ready for the electrician to come along and make those second fix connections. In that case, it will be me, but not on this channel. So we're going to move on now, we'll mix some bonding up, I'll show you how to do that, and we'll start filling some of these holes. So that's a really good consistency for skimming. Where you would have noticed with the bonding, it was quite stiff. Get out the light, you'll see it a bit better. And you need that stiffness to get the bonding in. Obviously it's thicker, and you need to be able to work it without it falling out onto the floor in front of you. But with your skimming, you need that nice smooth, like a creamy consistency. You should just be able to see the paddle swirls in it as it's mixed, and it'd be loose and free for you to spread along. Now you can, if you want, use a hawk and trowel. In this case, as we're just patching up some little bits and pieces, I'm just going to go straight from the bucket, and I'll show you how we do that with these sockets right now. So these are obviously isolated, but we're trying to keep them out of the way so we're not getting any plaster on them. Basically, we want to keep the boxes nice and clean if we can, and you simply just swap your skimming onto the top of the bonding, give it a nice spread, and we just want to cover over that bonding and into the chase itself. And dry it up. We're not after getting that perfect finish just yet. It is just to kind of get it on there. You don't need to do too much around the box here, because it is quite well fitted in anyway. We've not really damaged around that, so we're just looking to cover up the chase sleeve next to it, make sure that that's getting nicely finished, ready for decoration. And that's pretty good for the first coat on that one, so we'll let that go off a bit. You don't want to play around with it too much, just get it on there, let it go off for a little while, and then come back to it when it's gone a little bit harder. You can flat it off, and then we'll put the top coat on after that stage. I'll show you, might as well do another one while we're on with it. So that was a bit of an awkward one, the last one to get into, with it being right in the corner. This one's a little bit easier, and get right in there. Plenty of the plastering. A good spread up the wall. And again, don't mess around with it too much first time round. We're just looking to get it in there and let it stiffen up a bit, and then we'll come back to it and have a play around with it a bit more at that stage. Ready for the top coat. There's a few more I'm just going to get on with. I'll show you this one over here, and then I'll stop carting you around while I do this. It's all pretty much the same once you get into it. This one's a bit easier because we didn't have to make a mess at the top of the wall. Most of it's going to be behind the skirting board. So just get that in there. So you want to go a little bit past where your chase is, because when you come to brush it in at the end, you get a much nicer finish, just oversaling a bit. So it may look like a too wide a spread. I always find it covers nicer in the end if you do that, and then just brush your edges in, as I'll show you when we get to that stage in just a minute. That's started to harden up now, so we're going to give it a little spray from a distance, just to wet the wall over a bit. And we're just going to draw up. Make sure that's all nice and flat. And that's it for that first coat now. Just want to let that go fully off, take off any little snags you can see around this place, and then when that's hardened up a bit, we'll put the top coat on. It's basically a repeat of the process. We'll zoom around and have a look at some of these other ones we've done and see if they're hardened up as well. You can see that one started to go off as well, so we'll give it another little spray. And just push it all flat. We're not doing any brushing in yet, we're just getting that flat to the wall, making sure we've got that nice, smooth, flush finish. And as I say, any loose bits, just take them away. And that's that chase about nicely finished for a first fill with the top multi-finish. You can go over that with a second coat, and it should all blend in quite nicely at that stage. Okay, so this top coat wants to be a little bit wider on the chase, just to try and oversail it. We've filled it in now so it's nice and smooth. So you want to put a nice wide bead in, And this is going to go as our top finish to hopefully make it blend away. So we just want to go nice and wide, make sure we're all covered over. Just start there with that one. Whoops, picked up a bit of muck there. Not always ideal. More careful. Just let that harden up a bit now before we go over it with the top polish. So you can see things have moved on a little bit behind me here. We are now at the decorating stage. So we've got all our filling done. I'm going to take you around and show you how that all came up with a bit of paint on the wall and wallpaper on top. I have actually skimmed this chimney breast wall and we're going to cover skimming of walls on a future video, but I'll show you how that came up as well. I'm going to make a video of its own right doing that. We've got lots of walls to reskim on this project as a whole, so we will come back to that. And equally with the wallpapering, we're going to have a little cover of that as well. We'll take a close look around it, and then we'll have a little chat at the end about how this one has come up as the first video on the DIY TV channel. And if you haven't already, please click the subscribe button below. Give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. All feedback is appreciated. And remember, this is the first video on the channel, so be gentle in the comments. So this is the main chimney breast that has been plastered out. You can see I've been a bit keen with the paint there and it's actually still drying from the filler underneath. You shouldn't do that. This is going to be behind the TV. It'll all dry out fine in the end. It just makes it a little bit easier to chip off later on if you don't allow each layer to dry out. So don't make that mistake on your project. It's just impatience on my part with this one. You can see I've actually dinged it down here, and that was through moving this skirting board around. Some of these lengths are quite long and I just caught it, so caution when you are moving bigger bits of material around not to undo some of the work you've already done, but that's going to be behind the electric fire. I will patch and repaint it anyway, but yeah, annoying. See the wallpaper, I'm pretty pleased with how that's come up. This isn't my choice of wallpaper, I will be honest. However, it's gone on the wall very well. Can't see the joins. Wallpapering is all about patience and preparation. We'll cover that in a future video. But I didn't want to make this first one on the channel too long, so we're focusing in on the chasing and the electricals. So you can see down there, that's all flat to the wall, cutting very nicely. On that one, you can see this one over here. We can't see any of the chases up to the socket. It needs a little bit of touching in just across the top there. Some of the paint's just chipped off while we've been messing about, terminating the socket most likely. So we need to neaten that up, as we will do as the finishing touches at the end. And then over onto this side, you can see down here, again, no sign of the chase, which is super nice. That one's cutting lovely. These M2 circuit accessories are really, really good value. They're not expensive. Super new product from M2, which you can get from City Electrical Factors. I'll link it in the description actually, because they are really good value and they look proper nice. This is going to be a dimmer in the end, but it's not yet arrived, so I've just put a single switch on for now. Over on this side again, you can see a little bit keen with the filler not quite going off where it's a bit deeper, so that's still drying through. But it will go the same shade as the paint on the surface in the end, and if it needs any touching in, I'll do that at that stage. And my son had a go at painting in around this socket, and you can see he's not done an especially good job. We had to put the socket back to the wall, and he's done a little touch up around there that hasn't quite turned out as he would have first hoped, but he's pleased with it, so that's the main thing. It's all a learning curve, getting the youngsters involved, and yeah, could have made it easier for him, I suppose, by having the socket off the wall when he was doing his final touch-up, but what's life without a challenge? Over on this side, you can see we've got the accessories down here, so that's for a HDMI outlet. We're going to have a low-level skybox in the media unit, so that's down there. Sky cables are going to be fitted by the Sky engineers, so we'll see how that pans out. And then we've got the fire isolation point on there as well, ready for connecting in that electric fire when we get that and fit it. Down at this side, we're still waiting on a new BT master socket, which is coming imminently from the guys at BT. So they're going to come and sort that out for us. There's also some fibre upgrades going on down the street. So I think they're going to tackle 2 birds with 1 stone. TV point in here, that's just waiting for its front to arrive as well, again from M2. And then the socket front on there. And overall, I think that's come up pretty decent. The next stage is to tackle the laminate flooring. And with laminate floor, we'll cover that in a dedicated video all of its own right. Basically start from the door frame is the approach I take with laminate. If you've only got one door, if you're doing a hall like this one and there's doors everywhere, you can't do that. But make life as easy as you can in the situation that you're at. So we're going to undercut these doors, show it in a dedicated video, start from here, work along the longest size of the room. That's the way I approach it. It is longer in that direction. We've got a few little challenges around the bay window with the radiator pipes. Same over here with the radiators, but largely other than that, it's a pretty straightforward project, that one. And we'll show that up next on the channel, because I think that'll be a nice video of its own accord. So thank you for taking the time to watch the first video on this new channel at DIY TV. We're going to be covering loads more stuff. As I say, we're finishing this room in itself, so we've got the laminate floor, putting all the skirting boards back. We'll cover that in the next video. More widely, we've got a bathroom renovation going on here as well, and lots of other exciting and interesting projects coming down the road. So do subscribe to the channel and watch out for the future videos. Get involved in the comments if you've got any tips or tricks with your decorating and DIY projects. Share them below for me to learn from and anyone else who may be following along with this channel. And if you are interested in the electrical aspect, I have another YouTube channel called Mark the Sparky Allison, and that is full of electrical content. So if you're an electrician in training, already qualified, and you want to see a bit more content around the electrical system and how it's all wired up, there'll be a link in the description to head over that channel and check that one out. Otherwise, thank you for watching this video, and I will see you on the next one.